All right, welcome to the Cage Cougar Cast. This is Mr. Randall and
Mr. Sullivan.
All right, Mr. Sullivan, what you been up to?
Well, I shaved my beard off for the first time since I was maybe a freshman in college, I think, is the last time I had a clean face.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a mustache. They asked me to do the bulletin for the YouTube page for CK, and I thought it would be funny to do it as Ron Burgundy and not wear dress pants. Thought that would be a funny little bit, but it was a short-sighted thought because now I was left with the option of shaving everything or having a mustache, and I did not want to have a mustache, so I shaved that off. After I shaved, my beautiful, loving wife said, wouldn't it be great if you could find the sweet spot between how you looked before and looking like a 10-year-old?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really nice.
What she's telling you, she wants you to trim your beard more often.
Yeah, it's hard to really decipher what that message meant. I think she thinks that she loves the way I look no matter what, I think is what she meant.
I don't think she meant that. All right, so anyhow.
Well, fair enough. So what have you been doing, Mr. Randall?
Invest in a beard trimmer and to use a specific length, and then you should do that all the time. Find a happy medium.
Yes. It's weird because she bought me for different birthdays and Christmases. She's bought me maybe 2 or 3 different types of beard trimmers. But then I also get the feeling like maybe she just doesn't want me to use them. So I'm just not going to.
There you go. You know, mixed messages. Can't read between those blurred lines.
It's tough. You know, who can know what women really mean?
Yes, I know. That's why they made that movie with Mel Gibson before he did his Mel Gibson.
The Passion of the Christ is what you're talking about.
Yeah, The Passion of the Christ. No, I was thinking of Lethal Weapon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. What Women Want. That was there was a movie that was like heavily probably problematic. You know, there's a lot of things from the mid-90s or whenever this movie was made. But the idea was like, what if a man could know what women want?
That's the premise of the movie, huh?
Yeah. And the premise is also that you can't ask them what they want.
Mr. Randall, what have you been up to?
So speaking of the bulletin, I noticed your bulletin. I thought it was pretty funny. I especially like the panning away with the music to reveal the big reveal at the end, which was that you weren't wearing, I should say, dress pants. You were wearing pants. You weren't like Winnie the Poohing. But it was a good bit because it was a combination of like trying to be serious with like and not being serious, which is something that I like, you know. So I thought it was pretty good. I've also done a couple of bulletins, and I think it's funny to just do weird stuff and see like what level.
Big fan of the stock movie footage you put on the one right after mine. That was solid. I enjoyed that. My favorite part about it was that at no point in the video was it explained why that was happening. It was just stock weird movie footage to some mundane announcements at the school.
Yeah, and they were like very plain, and there wasn't like a lot of it. So I just was like, what should I do with this? And I just think it's funny. There's something funny to me about like just doing like just the unexplained bit of stuff. I don't know. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, just confusing people from afar and not explaining what's going on. I like it.
Yeah, and because I think most people would open that and be like, "What is this?" They wouldn't think it's funny.
And that's the intent, right? You're not just people aren't supposed to be like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah, I get it. This guy's just being weird for fun, you know. And it's also like an attempt to give Miranda, who like I've known for a very long time, to try to give her something that she's like, this is too weird. But I don't think Miranda will ever say that. She'll just Miss Smallwood, I should say. I don't think Miss Smallwood would ever do that. I think she just put it up there, unless I was like very off color or something. I don't know.
I know. I sent her the video of mine, and it just sat there for a little while, and I was thinking, I wonder if she's gonna send this back. Like, no, you can't be drinking like fake scotch and not have pants on in the school video. But it worked out.
To clarify again, you were wearing shorts.
Correct. That is correct. Yes, I was wearing pants.
You were wearing short pants.
And I was drinking apple juice, not scotch.
Well, I also know that you're a teetotaler, so you wouldn't have been drinking scotch.
Oh, what now?
A teetotaler, which is a person that doesn't. Maybe I'm doing the slang word of the day. A teetotaler is somebody who doesn't drink alcohol.
Oh, so does this have anything to do with spilling the tea?
I don't know.
I'm totaling tea.
A teetotaler. A teetotaler.
Like I totally drink tea.
I guess that's where it's from. It's like a British thing. Like they still say teetotaler in England, I guess. They're like,
And that's a reference for people that don't drink alcohol. Is that right?
yes. It's pish
Okay.
posh. Oh. I
Oh,
don't know movements which don't translate on the podcast. I'm doing movements like somebody can see in the audio. Our viewers can see this. Yeah. You're like, hello, governor.
See, and you're still waving your hat, like as if people
Yeah.
can see that on the podcast.
Right, that's great. That's great. So anyhow, speaking of slang, let's move on to our slang word of the week.
Happily, slang word of the week. Today's slang word is in onomatopoeia, which is not the slang word, but this is one of those types of things. The word is spelt a few different ways, but one of the spellings is OKURRRRRRRRT, or okkurt. But the way you actually pronounce it is as if a pigeon was saying it. So it's more of like an okkurt. But the T is optional, I've been told.
You like swallow the T at the end.
You could swallow the T. It depends on how the pigeon is feeling that day. The definition of
pigeon.
the teetotaling pigeon. That's correct. The definition of okkurt is a fun and sassy way of saying the word okay. It was made popular by Cardi B, who said, "Okay's been done before. Let's all say okkurt instead." That's a quote. In a sentence, you would say, "I'm so excited. I asked Mr. Sullivan to teach me more slang words, and he said, okkurt."
All right. So okkurt. So okay itself, a slang word. Okkurt.
Right, but that was more of like an 1800s slang word. Cardi B is trying to bring us into the modern day.
So do you know where the origin of the phrase or the word okay?
Yeah, it was Martin Van Buren. Is that right?
Yep.
I'm trying to pull from a Seinfeld episode. It was something about being a part of some group, and if you were a part of that group, then you were considered okay. You were go ahead, just do it.
All right. So Martin Van Buren's re-election campaign of 1840, right? So he's running for president again. He lost, but his nickname was Old Kinderhook.
That's
Old
it.
Kinderhook.
There we go.
Kinderhook was the place he was born, which I believe is in New York, right? That's the whole thing with the Seinfeld episode. The holding up the 8 fingers or
8 fingers. There's a gang. Yeah, the okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyhow, Old Kinderhook. So if you liked Martin Van Buren, you were okay. So anyhow, let's move on past that, because now we're just explaining slang to kids, and you're supposed to be explaining slang to boomers. So anyhow, right away I think okkurt. I think yogurt. And I tell you what, some of our teachers that are a little longer in the tooth here at CK, they probably use yogurt to keep them regular. You know, the probiotics, the benefit of the live cultures to keep them regular, especially in a time like this where we're quarantined. It's important that you keep yourself regular.
You know, we make show docs here where we script out most of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I specifically made this episode poop free, and you found a way to slip it in. All right, so that was the word of the day. We are going to move on to thank our sponsor for the day. Mr. Randall, would you mind reading our ad for the day?
All right, so this episode is brought to you by Facebook. Hey, Gen Z, we noticed you aren't using Facebook very much. That's you students. You guys are the Gen Z, or the Zoomers, as I referred to you guys in an earlier episode. But have you ever wanted to get in a political argument with your uncle? You don't really have a lot of chances to do that. Maybe Thanksgiving, maybe if he comes to a birthday. Would you like to share all your personal information with the corporation that sells it to somebody else in order to find out what Care Bear you are? If you would, yeah, you should try Facebook. Facebook, it's what the old people use.
Now, is Facebook that new one that is taking the place of MySpace?
Yes, that's it. The new thing. This just in from the wire. There goes. That's my. The thing is, I have to do a different voices all the time in every podcast. But yeah, this just in the wire. Facebook is taking the place of MySpace. Old-timey radio guy, I guess.
Did you have a MySpace?
Yeah, I did.
My least favorite, and maybe favorite also, part of MySpace was that you had to rank your friends in order for everyone to see. What an awful thing that was.
Yeah. Why would you do that? You're my fourth friend. It's like, oh, well, I had you as my second.
I know. It was always embarrassing if you put somebody as like your first friend, but nobody was the first friend for you. It was an evil institution. I'm glad a nice, morally sound, never done anything wrong company like Facebook has taken over.
Yeah, and the thing is I like is Mark Zuckerberg, he definitely is a real human. I mean, the way that he moves, his haircut, he looks like a human, 100%. A human that feels normal and does normal things.
That's true. Yeah, no, he definitely has human feelings and emotions.
Yeah, and when he talks, it sounds like a human. That's what I like.
Yeah, I like that too. So Facebook, thank you so much for all of that money you gave us. You're the best.
Yeah, you're the best, and I would never say anything bad about you, and I definitely am not worried about the NSA hearing me say something bad about you and throwing me in some sort of secret jail in Eastern Europe.
That's true. But more importantly, what kind of Care Bear are you, Mr. Randall?
I think I'd be lots of heart.
It's just right off the cuff. That's good.
Yeah, there we go. I'm lots of heart.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Facebook. We love you.
We love you, Facebook. We would never say anything bad about you. Facebook.com. Facebook. It's the Facebook.
Okay. I think it is time to move into welcoming our guests for our last segment of the day.
Yeah, we have a special treat. A very special treat. A
That's
special
incredible.
treat. Yeah, the treat. It's so treaty. You know what? Folks, we got it. The treat, it was so good. We ate it. And the other people tried to take it. It was very bad.
It was a nasty readout. It was a nasty readout.
So anyhow, we got Miss Devnich, the teacher named Miss Devnich, and Mr. Peretti.
I think that'll do it. I think we got it.
Well, I was trying not to say like the exact things you say when you bring them on because that would just be stupid.
Again, as you will say in the future, she is from the history department. It's Miss Devnich. All right, we are joined here by two very special guests for our final segment of the day. Guest number one, we have Miss Devnich coming to us from the history department. Miss Devnich, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Guest number two, we have the one and only Mr. Peretti representing the math department.
Good morning.
Welcome,
It is
Mr.
a
Peretti.
privilege to be here at the crack of dawn with you guys. Thanks for waking me up.
That's right. It is a little past 9 o'clock. We apologize for rolling you out of bed like that. All right. So the instructions for the day, we are playing a game called True Confessions. It is popularized by Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show. Here are your instructions. You have each prepared one statement that may or may not be true about your lives. Our job, listening to that statement, will be to interrogate you for about a minute after you read off that statement and determine whether or not you are telling the truth or telling a lie. After the interrogation, we will all discuss it, and you will tell us whether our guesses are correct or not. Does that make sense to you both?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Perfect. 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 All right, we are starting with Miss Devnich today. Miss Devnich, would you please read off your statement?
I will gladly do that. One day I found myself at a police blockade. I pulled off the side of the road and I found myself surrounded by armed police officers.
Okay, very nice. Armed police officer. Mr. Randall, you put 60 seconds on the clock.
Yes, I
60
do.
seconds on the clock.
Yep.
Mr. Randall, Mr. Peretti, and myself will now interrogate you for 60 seconds to figure out whether or not you are telling the truth.
What
And
country was
go.
this in?
Miss Devnich, what country was this in?
It was in Curacao.
What year would this be?
2009.
How many illegal things did you do leading up to this moment?
0.
So your claim is that you were not at fault.
I was not at fault.
What was the roadblock about?
The roadblock was looking for an armed suspect.
Did they find him?
They did not.
Are they still looking?
I doubt it.
Was the armed suspect
Was
Mr.
the guns
Peretti?
pointed directly at you? Say again?
Was the armed suspect Mr. Peretti?
Not to my knowledge.
But they didn't find him, so you don't know.
All right, that's done.
I think that could be true. I don't know.
Mr. Peretti, what do you think?
Oh, I think that is absolutely true. I have no doubt about it.
I'm going to say true as well.
Sounds pretty. I'm also going to say true.
You guys are all
Miss
right.
Devnich?
It was true.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
It was a crazy encounter. I fumbled for my ID. My son was in his car seat in the back, and as soon as I gave them my identification card, they stopped everything, stopped traffic, and let me back on because I had a really special ID that said something like I'm the diplomatic wife of the U.S. Navy attaché or something fancy like that. So they apologized, but there was a major language barrier because they were giving me orders in Dutch, and I don't know Dutch. I had been on the island for less than a year, and so I was a little bit worried for a moment.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Very
Did
nice.
You,
All right,
you
well,
start or you cry?
I did not cry. I was totally shocked.
So did you have diplomatic immunity where you could like shoplift and stuff and park wherever you wanted?
I probably did. You know, the thing, I didn't ever get the diplomatic license plates because I didn't want to be like singled out. I kind of wanted just to have the experience. But judging by how they treated me once they saw my ID, I probably could have gotten away with anything I wanted to.
Maybe they were looking for you and they just let you go.
Maybe. Oh, that's scary. Maybe Venezuela was behind it.
Yeah, Venezuela. They knew you were part of the coup.
Yeah.
Although that was probably pre.
all right. We're going to move on to round 2 here. We're all 1-0, 1 correct. Let's see if we can sweep it here. Mr. Peretti, what is your statement?
My statement is that I have a fake front tooth because of a Mayan curse. I picked up the mandible of a dead Mayan ancestor. I was told it was cursed. I said, no, it's not. About 5 minutes later, I lost my front tooth. And now I have a fake one. Thank you, Dr. Rose Holdren.
Oh, wow. Okay, 60 seconds on the clock. Let's interrogate here. Just right off the bat, Rose Holdren is a dentist. I can confirm that that aspect of his story is true. I have heard of that dentist. Where were you when this happened?
I was about 500 feet below ground in a cave in Belize.
And
It was an ancient burial site.
how long after you picked up the ancient skull did you lose your tooth?
Just a few minutes. I was with the Mayan guide. He told me not to touch it. I didn't believe him. I touched it anyways. I said, wow, look at this mandible. Look at these beautiful teeth. And he said, it's cursed. You shouldn't touch it. I didn't believe him.
How did you lose your tooth?
I was climbing up the side of a little cliff down inside this cave, and I slipped on bat poop, and I slid about 40 yards, hit a stalagmite, and the lamp that was on my helmet came down and hit me in the mouth. And I ate the tooth. I swallowed
it.
it.
Was on your helmet.
Good thing you didn't eat the
And
bat.
you swallowed the tooth?
I swallowed the tooth. Please don't ask me if I ever found it.
All right, well, there's not enough time to ask you if you found it. So that's good. You can skip the part about you rummaging through your human waste.
Is that time?
Yeah.
That's time. Okay.
It's done.
I don't know. I kind of the physics of the description of the helmet on his head hit him on the tooth after the bat poop slip, and then it knocked the tooth into his mouth and he swallowed it. I'm not sure I'm on board with that. I'm gonna vote lie.
All right. What do you think, Miss Devnich?
I don't know. I think it was human error and not a curse, first of all. So I think the story is kind of a lead. Clumsiness. I'm going to vote lie too.
I am going to vote truth. This happened, is what I'm saying.
Well, this will be the big tiebreaker then. What you got, Mr. Peretti?
This is the absolute 100% truth.
There we go.
I have photographic and video evidence of it happening.
There's video evidence.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was with a friend, actually. He's a teacher in the school district, and we were traveling in Belize. Belize has no above-ground rivers. The soil's very, very porous, so all the rivers are underground. So it has these massive cave systems. And one thing that they used to do in these caves is bury people. So there are human bones everywhere down there. And I made the mistake, apparently, of touching one. No, I don't think it was actually cursed either, but the coincidence is that after touching that ancient mandible, I lost my tooth 5 minutes later. And the Mayan guide, he warned me, said, don't touch it. It's bad luck. And I'm like, nah, I don't believe in that. And I got a front tooth to prove it.
There we go. Well, now I have a book of like maxims I keep, like a 1930s man would. And I'm going to put in there, do not touch cursed ancient skulls. So that's one of the things that's going to go in there, And also the other ones that's going to go in there is get diplomatic immunity everywhere. All right.
Nice.
Do you guys have time for one more? I can do one. I have one. If you guys want to do one more.
Oh, Mr. Randall has one, the bonus round.
All right. Okay.
False. We don't believe you. It's a lie.
All right. Good. All right. So my true confession is that I met John Kerry at LAX. John Kerry, the politician.
Bitch.
Should say that for the kids.
60 seconds on the clock.
Oh, yeah. I got to put 60 seconds on the clock. Here we go.
Were you happy to see him, or did you find it disturbing?
I guess I was happy to see him. It's one of those things where I had a layover and you just see some random dude and then you make, I kind of talk myself up and psych myself up just to say like, hey, Mr. Kerry, how's it going? And so I just went over there and actually it was really nice considering the fact that he was probably busy and had more things to do than I did.
How close in proximity was this to the presidential run?
This was after the presidential run, but before he became Secretary of State for Obama.
And that was all you mustered out was, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, well, and then I asked if I could get a picture with him, and I got a picture with him.
Did you tell him, hey, I voted for you?
I didn't actually say that, but I do believe I did vote for him at the time. Yeah. Well, not that time, but like before I voted for him.
Okay, that's time. I think that if it was a lie, he would have picked an even bigger celebrity. I think John Kerry I think that's believable to me.
His wife's the heir to the Heinz ketchup fortune. That's the hugest kind of celebrity. I mean, the biggest celebrities are always tied to ketchup or some kind of condiment. There's the relish lady. I don't know.
My question.
Don't try to talk me into it being a lie.
All right. Okay, Catherine.
Wouldn't he fly private?
That's what you'd think. I don't know why he was at the LAX airport, but, I guess sometimes celebrities fly first class.
He has diplomatic immunity, unlike Mrs. Devnich. He would have flown, coach.
No, yeah. No coaching. All right, so what do you guys think, truth or a lie?
That's a lie. I never trust a man with a mustache.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm going to say it's true.
I'm going to say it's a lie.
Yeah, it's actually a lie, but it did happen to my friend. That's kind of a crappy one, but whatever. I think it was in Chicago though. I don't think it was in LAX.
We saw right through it. It's the mustache. Never trust a man with a mustache.
Yeah,
It's so easy, Mr. Sullivan. Come on.
And I was so vague
know.
about the times.
Awful.
I thought that would catch me up because I was like, oh, it's before these 2 times. Instead of saying like the exact year, like I couldn't remember the exact year,
You give us too much
Very,
credit.
very well
like I
thought
had
out.
any clue when he was Secretary of State.
Yeah. It was after Benghazi Gate or whatever it's being called.
Well, we know if he was Secretary of State, he wouldn't have been at the airport. So
Yeah, but he had like a time where he was just like a citizen. You know what I mean? Like after he ran for president, like the Senate run, and then he was just like a private citizen whose wife was the heir to the ketchup fortune, as I said before. Very important people.
With diplomatic immunity.
With diplomatic immunity and no ancient Mayan curse. The man has big mandibles. And none of them, they're probably fake like the veneers or whatever, but I don't think like any part else are fake.
All right, so Mrs. Devnich and Mr. Peretti win. Mr. Sullivan comes in third.
That's how it
Big
works.
loss for me. Agreed. Yep.
And if it's like balderdash rules, then I'd also beat you, Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Yeah.
It is not Balderdash rules, but thank you anyways, Mr. Randall. All right, well, that'll do it for that segment. Thank you so much for coming on, Miss Devnich and Mr. Peretti. You're the best, and we love you both.
thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you
I'm
very
going
much.
back to sleep. This is way too early. Good night.
All right.
Good night, Mr. Peretti. And that'll do it for the Caged Cougar Cast. And as always,
Yeah, what do we always
What
say,
do we say?
Mr. Sullivan? What do we always say when we end the episode? What is that famous saying that we always say?
we always say, okkurt.
That's right. But we also say,
Wash your hands.
yes, wash your hands.